So all the best, Sanya. This is your final show. Can we go ahead with the first painting that you would like to explain?
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
The first painting is inspired by Picasso's Blue Period, especially the painting titled La Vie, that is French for the life. It is well-known fact that in Picasso's Blue Period, most of the paintings were made because of his depression over the death of his friend, and it's basically called Blue Period because the color scheme of his paintings used to be blue and dark tints in the paintings. So there's not as such a bright blue scene in his paintings, but I've exaggerated a little bit to bring out the influence of Picasso in this. Also, I've used a knife for the painting, so it's a knife painting, and it's titled La Vie, that is also French for the emptiness. What inspired me for this particular picture was that it was in my room. It was when you take out a painting, there's a mark left by the painting on the wall. The square is that mark that the painting leaves behind, and when you look at the mark left behind, you think about the painting that would have been there. So this is something that I thought was similar to Picasso's themes in his painting.
Okay, so you enjoyed doing this painting?
Yes.
So what about this painting? This is again a new technique I think you've used. It's totally different from the knife painting that you did.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. It's inspired by Jackson Pollock.
Good.
And it's based on his own his own unique technique of painting. None of his paintings use easel or anything. He puts the canvas on the floor and he completes his work on the floor. So this is inspired by Jackson Pollock, and before I decided the background, I came up with the foreground with the maze and all. It was something that I realized while scribbling in my notebook, that even the lines and scribbles or doodles that we make in notebooks actually make sense. And when you look at those doodles, you seem to find something out of it. So out of that out of those chaotic lines and those scribbles, you can find meanings and figures in those words and those drawings. So the foreground was something that I realized from the scribbles in my notebook, and I thought I'll highlight it a little bit about how a person feels lost sometimes. And the background was something I wanted it to be a little chaotic, similar to the theme of the painting. So I researched a lot of artists who experimented with color and different mediums different color palettes for that matter. And I researched Marcus Rothko and Willem de Kooning, Barnett Newman and Jackson Pollock. So I came across one of Jackson Pollock's painting. It's titled Number 5, and it was very similar to this, but in the sense he uses oil paint, so his lines are more defined and his forms are more defined rather than
the dripping paint.
Yeah, exactly. So I experimented a lot before I actually did it on the background. So this is one of the experiments that I did before I did the actual painting. It's not a very pretty picture, but it was just something I wanted to experiment with the color scheme, what colors I wanted to use in the background. Now, since my background could be white or black, I wanted to keep something simple, keep it simple. So I wanted it either black or white. But for the paints to come out and in the chaotic forms to come out more, I decided on keeping the background black, so the paints would be seen more clearly. So this is what I did.
This painting was done from the photograph that you had taken, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the replica of Hawa Mahal, but it's not the actual Hawa Mahal in Rajasthan. It's the one they built in Ramoji Film City. And this is a painting I did before I actually got into abstract. because I didn't have a definite direction up until then. And so it was a new city for me, Hyderabad, so I moved around places. I saw Ramoji Film City, and this is one of the photos that I found very interesting because of its geometry and the dome shape of the Hawa Mahal. And I thought it was something that I would like to experiment, since I wasn't really into painting that much when I got into the program. So this is something that I've tried to replicate as much as I can, with adding a lot of shade in the background and the details in the dome. So what interested me the most in this painting was the geometry of the stairs. And the detailing that can be seen in the domes, the walls and the inner walls. So basically the architecture of the Hawa Mahal was that fascinated me. And what also interested me is the history that followed Hawa Mahal. It was originally built in 1779 by King Savai Pratap Singh. So it was basically built for the royal ladies to have a view of the street, since they weren't allowed to go in public actually. And it was made in pink stone with white limestone lines. So it was very beautiful in actuality. And this is just the top part of the whole Hawa Mahal. It's a 5-story building, and it shows a lot of tradition and the culture of our country, where women weren't allowed to come in public before the public.
Earlier.
Yeah, earlier. And it was the tradition of parda that they used to call. And the culture behind it and the history and the architecture of the Hawa Mahal itself was what fascinated me to paint it.
This is a tribute you've titled.
Yeah.
Could you explain about this?
It was, I came up with the outline for this painting about a week before the 9/11, with the date before 11th September, a week before 11th September. And I thought it'd be something I would like to give a tribute to both sides that were, hurt in the 9/11 the hijack. And this painting also has a lot of historical significance, because right after the 9/11 attacks, the Guantanamo Bay, it was a detention center by the US, and there was a lot of controversy about them holding innocent people that weren't really related to the 9/11 attacks. So it was for both the sides that were hurt because of this 9/11 attack that happened. And I wanted to give a tribute to all those people that died that day and thereafter because of the incident. And this is
What is the technique you used here?
This is it's a dripping technique, but I haven't used the dripping technique per se, because I painted the drips rather than just letting it go, because I wanted it to be more thick. That couldn't be done with a brush. So I painted the drips, and I kept the background yellow because I wanted the red to be, again, the foreground to be more seen more clearly. So, and the last addition that I did, the foreground of the painting, was the eyes. It was something that I had been practicing for a while, and for eyes, facial features and everything. So I had been practicing it for a while, and I wanted to incorporate it in the painting. And rather than the whole face, I wanted to be just eyes, because I feel they were more expressive rather than the whole face. And it gives a certain it gives a certain universality to the whole painting rather than giving the whole face.
Okay, use charcoal for the
the eyes are made with charcoal, and the background is with acrylic on canvas.
So you've done a lot of sketches in eyes, okay? With eyes, and I mean a lot of pencil sketches. You have done a lot in your workbook also.
Yeah, I was interested in pencil sketching a lot, but I thought I'll delve more deeper into facial features and human figure rather than just practicing what I was quite good at. So I started with human faces and eyes. So before I could actually draw the whole face, I thought I'd try out the separate parts of the face differently and practice it differently. So I I sketched eyes differently in different angles, and noses in different shapes and angles. And then after I had a basic idea of how you sketch according to the light and according to shape, I thought I'll incorporate it into the whole portraits. So I picked out random friends to make portraits, and my school installed a huge mirror in my room where I could make self-portraits. And so this is some of the attempt at self-portraits. And this is basically what helped me further in the paintings, as I told you in the 9/11 tribute and all. This is what was the base for all the paintings.
So this is the depiction of the still life that I had arranged in the class. Yes, I like this a lot.
Yeah, this is something I thought before I got into abstract, I'll explore the realist in sketching and painting before I understand what really abstract is. So I started with object drawing. I started drawing objects that I see every day, like extension boards and staplers, sharpeners, anything that I could see basically. So this was what was installed in the room. So I tried to make as many details as possible in it to actually, so a person who's looking at it could visualize what it could have been. So this is where I started with the object drawing.
This is another object drawing.
Yes.
It was arranged in the class.
Yeah.
Still life.
Yeah. Now the object drawing in realism, that kind of got me thinking that instead of making it exactly like it would have been, it would be fun to rearrange it according to how you want it. Like not exactly. It's not possible that the frame could actually stand like that without help or something. But I thought it would be fun to visualize it that way. And I played around with the colors, and I tried to make bolder strokes with bolder colors in the object drawing. And instead of I tend to get into a lot of details when I make a painting. So I thought it'd be another opportunity to explore the abstract, where you do it spontaneously. You don't plan before you do it, or make an outline of the painting before you do it. So I thought I'd try the spontaneous thing for a little while.
Okay. What is the medium that you used for this?
The medium is soft pastel.
So this is an installation that you did with vegetables.
Yeah. Okay. Now, while I was doing my other research over the course, it was the time for Ganesh Chaturthi in September. So I see even though it's an age-old tradition in our country, and it has a lot of historical significance too. But the thing that bothered me the most was the pollution that happens because of Ganesh Chaturthi, because the idols are mostly made of POP, plaster of Paris, and they don't really dissolve completely in the water, so it harms the aquatic animals. So what I did was that I thought it'd be to take up something unconventional and everyday, something that is in everyday life and totally biodegradable, to make the idol again. So I decided to make it with vegetables, so it could be kind of an eco Ganesh kind of thing. So this is the one that I made during the actual Ganesh Chaturthi, the festival, and it was acknowledged by a few newspapers in our city. I wanted to see how it actually looks apart from the photos. So I made another one using little different vegetables. Instead of the watermelon for the body, I made the lettuce as a body here. So it's kind of like you use vegetables that you eat every day, like gourd, carrots, grapes, lettuce, pumpkin, everything that you use every day. You don't really have to waste it. You can just take out the toothpicks afterwards and eat it again, so no harm.
Okay. So what is the vegetable you used here?
Here it's the mukut, as they say, the crown of the Ganesh is made with carrots, and the ears are with cabbage leaves, and the body is lettuce, and the foundation or the base is the pumpkin, and it's decorated again with eyes, and the tilak of again is made with carrots. So the main body and the decorations that you can do are with, you know, with carrots, grapes, olives, everything that you use in, you know, the everyday kitchen. So, and I've held it together with toothpicks.
So you've also made a painting of Ganesh.
Yeah, this is
black
the,
and white one. Yes.
yeah, this is the one that I made when I came the program the first year. It's from 2011, and it's similar. It's near to the date of Ganesh Chaturthi. It's a big festival in our house, so you know there's a lot of influence of the god and a lot of culture influence on my paintings. Also, at that time I was researching on line drawings basically. I was researching the paintings and works of K.K. Hebbar, M.F. Hussain, the likes of M.F. Hussain, who generally use lines and, you know, less of in colors and tones and more of flat colors and lines in their paintings. So this is one of the paintings that was inspired by K.K. Hebbar. He has made use of pictures from the Mahabharata to make line drawings without actually picking up the pencil. They're just simple lines using forms and figures. So it's not really a detailed picture, but when you look at it, you know that it's from the Mahabharata because of the way it's composed. So this is something that I made inspired from that. It's made in one go, like without lifting a pencil in one place. So and the outline is with oil pastel, and the insides are with watercolors. So it's basically just one color. It's just black, and I've added amount of differing amount of water to dilute it and make it darker in some places. So it's kind of like a very simple painting. I've just used one color in it and a pastel for the outline.
This is your first oil painting?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is from the photograph that you had taken during your tour?
Yes, we were visiting Rajasthan during our school trip, and I was documenting the whole journey thoroughly with photographs from all over the place, everywhere that we went, including Delhi. So we visited a local school there in the village that we went, and it was a boy that was looking at us in a very weird expression. So I took a photograph of him. And after I came back, I thought it's a nice photograph, but I'd like to do something else with it. And I hadn't yet experimented with oil in my entire program. So I thought it'd be, you know, fun to incorporate my study of portraits with a new medium. So I picked up oil for a life-size portrait. It was quite a challenge because it took a lot of time doing the details and the right tone according to the light and in the photo. So it was quite a challenge, but it was fun to do it because oil was something that I never did before, but it turned out to be really great and really fun. So I named it The Expression because that is something that you see in the very beginning that you look at him. The first thing that you see is his peculiar expression that he's giving to you, and I put a lot of work into his eyes again, and giving the details of his eyes, because his eyes and his shape of the mouth was everything that was in the photo.
You really enjoyed this painting, and initially you had a lot of fear with the oil colors, but then finally you were comfortable.
Yeah, initially I was a little nervous because I've never tried this medium before, and I really didn't want to like spoil this painting because it was very special, and it turned out to be really great because it was really fun doing oil. You can change, even if you make mistakes in an oil painting, you can change and, you know, do it over and over again. So it gives you a kind of it's kind of a lag time before you actually, you know, let it dry and it's ready. So you can, you know, correct your mistakes again. So it's a little bigger than life size, but I use the grids that I made a grid on the photo, the actual photo, and I made it again on the canvas, and according to that I made it a little bigger than life size.
Good.
I think that a lot of people told me, but I hadn't really intended to do it, but I don't know, it just happened, I guess. It's something that I saw in Da Vinci's paintings and all, where the eyes follow you wherever you go. But it's called ubiquitous gaze, right? So it was something that I read about it, but I never actually thought I could do it. But I think it turned out to be so.
This is again with bold strokes. You have tried the mixed media again.
Yeah, this is the last painting that I tried before I finished all of my artworks, and it is again from a pic. It's a sketch that I made on our Rajasthan trip, and we were in Rajasthan, so this was the most common, the thing that came to your mind when you thought of Rajasthan: the whale and the big head jewelry and the bangles in the hand and the type of jewelry, particular jewelry that they wear. So it was something, the first image that came to my mind when I thought about sketching a particular woman, Rajasthani woman. So and the background is from the fort that we stayed in. It was the room of our fort. So it was, all the elements were picked out from our journey to the Rajasthan, actual village of Rajasthan, of Rajasthan. And it was the first time, I guess, that I tried bold strokes without correcting it again and again. So I wasn't really sure of it before, but once I started it, it was really fun. I mean, this was the painting that took me the least time to make in all 2 years. It was a painting that I made in about 2 or 3 hours, as opposed to all my other paintings that took at least a week to make. So it was something that I never did before, and it was fun. It was something new that I learned.
It was nice watching you do this too. Like, you were really bold with your brush and the painting, contrary to what you did there.
Exactly. And I used a lot of different media. So the outline was made with charcoal. So it was just a rough sketch. I didn't do the detailing or anything for the paintings. So I just, I took the paint and I painted over the outlines. It wasn't a perfect outline. So I, modified it as I made it progressively. I've titled it The Whale because I feel that it is one of the most fascinating cultures about Rajasthan. Even in Hawa Mahal, I've titled it The Parda, because it was the thing was actually built for the women to have a street view. So the culture of Parda, where they're not allowed to show their entire face in public, is very fascinating. So I thought about showing the same culture in a different way again.
Yes, I like the strokes of the bangles and everything. You didn't go into much detail, like how you dealt with that.
Yeah, it was like the way they wear their clothes, the head jewelry, the bangles, their clothes. It's very colorful. So I wanted to keep the background, completely monochromatic, completely black and with charcoal, as opposed to their clothes and their jewelry that is very colorful.
I also see a lot of passion for photography. You have taken wonderful pictures. You have a collection of them, and could you just explain about the ones that you've selected for your final exam?
The first one is titled Inscriptions. This was taken near Qutub Minar in Delhi, and this is actually the inscriptions. There's a whole area around Qutub Minar with walls that have inscriptions in them. I'm not sure what language is it. I'm most certain it's Urdu, and it's when you look at it, it cannot be seen in the photo, but when you look at it, it looks like it's really hard to inscribe so much things on the wall, and it looks a lot of a lot of workmanship, and the inscriptions were just beautiful, and the actual inscriptions were in kind of light pink and brown, but I've made it into sepia to give it a little old effect, a little so it looks a little authentic and old.
What type of camera do you use?
I used a Nikon D60, and it was just last year that I took up photography, and I didn't know I would be good at it, but it was something that I wanted to try. So it is not that I took classes to learn or anything, but I just learned as I took photographs of everything around me. I especially documented all the school trips that we went to, and the first time that we came to Hyderabad, everything was documented, and it's through the documentation that I learned the photography. And it was something that I really enjoyed, and even though I didn't think I'd be good at it, but still I really enjoyed it.
And you've contributed a lot to the school magazine also.
I think in last year there was a project that came up that they wanted to make a school magazine with quotes that started from the initials of the school name, and they asked me to come up with ideas for the photograph of the quotes, with the quotes that went with the quotes. So I thought it'd be really fun, so I came up with ideas that use the children. And
can we see those photographs there? So these are some of the photographs for the magazine that you did last year.
Yeah, I took total 21 photographs for the magazine, but these are the 4 that I liked the most. So I put up these to, for you to have a look how it really, what I really did was. And so they gave me these quotes that started with the initials of the school name.
Okay.
And I came up with ideas to how it represent those quotes, and ask the children to participate in the photographs. So it was a fun process, and I got to know the school and its children a little better. The most important thing that I thought was that it gave me a certain work experience that was really important. And when you're learning photography individually throughout your process, the one thing you don't find is like a certain work experience to how it's actually different to work with other people and coordinate with other people. And I learned a lot about photography, the angles and the way you highlight a particular thing in a photograph. So I took a little help with the editing because I wasn't too efficient with Photoshop. I had a certain knowledge about it, but I wasn't really efficient with it. So I took a little help with the editing, but overall it turned out to be a really good project.
And you've also done the cover page of this year's magazine.
Yeah, they thought my work with the photographs was pretty good, so they asked me to design the cover page of this year's IB magazine. So I think it's over and it's on its way to the printing.
That's the first edition.
Yeah, that's the first edition of our magazine, and it was a really good opportunity.
Good. About this, boundaries?
Yeah, last year when I took up photography, these were some of the photographs that I took just in the vicinity of the school. So it was something that I stepped out, and whatever I saw, I took a photograph of it. And it was then that I was learning Photoshop too. So I used a little bit of Photoshop and editing to experiment with the photographs. And it's a very simple picture. It's on the wired the wired boundary of the garden thing, and there was a dragonfly sitting on it, and I took the photograph spontaneously. So it turned out to be great.
Good.
This is again our trip to Rajasthan. We were given a demonstration of how they actually make the dish dal bati churma, and it was then that I also noticed the same veil thing. The woman wouldn't lift her veil even while cooking in front of us. So this was again that I noticed, as you can see in my earlier paintings, I was fascinated by the tradition of the veil. And it is fascinating to see how even in India, when we're in one country and there's so many different culture, one area it's so urbanized, and you don't see any of the old traditions in the urbanized part of the country. But then again, when you go in deeper in the villages of any state or any part of the country, you see the old traditions that have been going on for quite some while. This is again from my tour. This is again near Qutub Minar. I don't think it doesn't have any historical significance. It was just an abandoned building with a cycle in front of it. So I thought the composition was really great, and this is one of my favorite photographs.
Very nice.
The title for this is Nostalgia, because the moment you look at the photograph, you feel that it's one of those scenes from those old movies that you see, and it reminds you of the old days. And so again I made this into sepia to give it that old days effect.
Very good.
This is actually my niece, and this is again
Your niece?
Yeah, this is my niece.
Okay.
And it was again the way that she was looking at me. There was a blank expression. There was nothing that could be seen in her face, and she was just looking at the camera. So I clicked a spontaneous photograph, and it was very similar to one of the sketches that I made of the 14th Dalai Lama when he was a kid. So I made it into a similar color scheme. It's black and white. So I thought that photograph and this photograph and that sketch were very similar. This is again from our Rajasthan trip. And we were living in a fort. A part of that fort was abandoned, and it was a very old building. I was fascinated. I'm fascinated by architecture and the old buildings and the way it was constructed. Before, as opposed to the modern buildings now, they're very similar to each other. So the photo was very interesting because this typical effect of the old abandoned building that it has mold on the walls and the dark patches on the walls and the broken windows and the broken the roofs and all. So it was very interesting to photograph this particular part of the fort. I gave it a sepia effect again because I wanted these photographs to have a touch of old city in it, the old architecture that used to be in Rajasthan. This is again one of the photos on my visit to Mumbai. It was my grandfather's 80th birthday. So it's a tradition in our family that whatever age you turn into, you have those many lamps. So we had 81 lamps for him, and this was just one basket that we had that had about 15 lamps in it. So it was a close-up shot of the basket, and the flames and the molten candle wax in the lamp was very beautiful. Again, Ganesh Chaturthi in our house is a big festival that has all the people and all the family relatives who even live far away. They come together for the 10-day festival. So it's a big thing in our house, and they set up everything, the idol and the decorations and everything. So they even set up the lamps and focus on the idols. It's a huge festival. So I took an hour to take photographs from all possible angles, everything from close-up shots to photographs from far away, using lights, everything, photographs in all angles. And this was one of the best that I thought was one of the best that had the lights and the focus on the right part of the idol. You can see only one part of the idol, with the other is hidden, and the particular light placement was very beautiful. So I thought the light effects in these photographs was very nice.
Very good. Good luck, Sanya. Congratulations. You have a wonderful collection, and get going. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am.